everybody? It's your boy FluffaNuttah back at it again with another video. And this one I didn't think I was going to do so soon, considering, how big this is for me to watch this. And I've been waiting to watch this for a while now. And not just this, but the category and the plethora of films in the catalog from Fox. And this one's no exception. Like, I started by finding out what would be the best order to watch these films in. I found a decent enough structure to watch these in a specific order to get you a basic understanding for a newbie who doesn't know anything about the X-Men to just jump into these movies and watch them start to finish. Apparently this is one of the best orders besides release order, of course. And this will save me from having to do mental gymnastics while watching these. Even though I probably will go back at some point and watch them in release order, but I'll do that after the fact. As a precursor and a start for me getting into the X-Men, I never really watched the X-Men as a kid. I never read any of the comics, other than apart from Wolverine, because I always thought Wolverine was a badass. And when I would watch the cartoon show, I would watch it specifically for Wolverine and Beast, because I liked those two. Everybody else, I didn't really get a chance to learn and appreciate. And I wish we would have got a little bit more X-Men in this film. But of course, this is just, first class. This is not the, one with all the established team. And I've got a lot of fun things to talk about. And this one's going to be a little bit different from my usual reviews, because this is the first time I've seen it. It's not as fresh in my mind as a lot of the other ones are. The reason I'm able to pinpoint and word for word damn near recall these movies is because I've watched them so many times and I remember them that vividly. This one I can only pinpoint a good few points, and it's almost like it's a brand new movie for me to just enjoy and sink my teeth into and really just get to know who the X-Men are, what all this stuff is. I know the basics, right? I know Professor X is a telekinesis, a telepath who can read people's minds, their thoughts, and all that stuff. And it's really cool to get into that in this movie. Also, Magneto I knew of because it's fucking Magneto. He's goated. And yeah, wow. As a start, before I get into the breakdown of what I can recall and remember, the cast was great. I really enjoyed this, start to finish. It's super good. I can see why a lot of people like the X-Men. And I don't know how a lot of people reacted to this particular movie, but I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I thought it was great. I thought everything about it was fun. It was enjoyable to watch. Apparently a lot of people liked it. Yeah, I liked it. It was really good. But let's before I get into breakdown and what I can recall from the movie, please be sure to hit that like button. If you enjoy the X-Men, just go ahead and hit that fucking like button. Let me know down in the comments who's your favorite X-Men, why, what's the reasoning, what your favorite X-Men movie is, what I should be looking forward to in the future. Try not to spoil anything. I haven't seen any of the X-Men, so I don't want to be spoiled. I have seen Logan though, so I kind of know where it's all leading up to with that, but of course it's Logan, so I will eventually rewatch it and then lead up all the way up to Deadpool and Wolverine. There's a lot of cool X-Men stuff coming. Yeah, but hit that like button. Let me know down in the comments all that fun stuff. Hit the subscribe button if you're ready to see me watch the X-Men, break them down, share my thoughts on why I love them, and maybe join with all the comic book lovers who enjoy this set of films, and the X-Men lovers who enjoy the X-Men. Because I gotta say, it's really goated. I really enjoy this, and hopefully I start to develop connections to all of these characters, because so far they've done a great job at introducing me into this realm of Marvel that I haven't touched. But yeah, let's just go ahead and break into it. So the movie has a fucking goated cast, by the way. First of all, James McAvoy as Professor X, pretty solid. I can't lie. I really enjoyed his Professor X. Michael Fassbender, I really thought stole the show. Very emotional, very interesting character. Kevin Bacon as the fucking villain. Goated. I love Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon's fucking amazing. Nicholas Hoult was in this. I didn't even know he was in this. He plays Beast. Dude, fuck yeah. I like Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Hoult, is pretty goated, to be honest. Absolutely fantastic. Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique. I don't know who Emma Frost is. I'm looking at the cast list right now just to a lot of these people I didn't really know. Besides maybe Zoe Kravitz. The only reason I know her is because of Catwoman. Goated. I didn't like her character though. She plays, a chick that like we'll get there. But like I didn't like her character just because of like the shit that she did. Which I liked her at first. Man, that sucked. Because I don't know who was gonna be villains and who wasn't. So it's like, oh, dude. I like Havoc. Havoc was really cool. Banshee was also really cool. What was the one? I don't remember his name. I don't think he hit. They don't have it listed, but the guy that can adapt to stuff that like dies due to Havoc not being able to control his stuff, when Azazel and the other fucker that can like bend like air and shit like breaks into the CIA site that they were all at. Dude, like, what the fuck? That's pretty fucking crazy. He gets killed off. I actually liked him too, but like, fuck, dude. They really play with like the team and like get you emotionally connected to all these people and get them working as a group. And that was really enjoyable to watch. Start to finish, this movie's enjoyable. 100%. They really hit you off strong with the when it starts out and you're in the World War II setting, and once they're there, you get the backstory of Magneto, and he was a Jew in World War II. His parents were being put into Auschwitz, or a death camp of that nature, and he's wanting to see his mom specifically, and he's trying to get to his mom, but the guards are holding him back, and then he just pulls the gate open, and they're like unable to stop him because he's so furious. He wants to see his mom. He's using that emotion and power to fuel his powers, and Kevin Bacon notices this, and he's like, that's the one. And Kevin Bacon plays a Nazi at the beginning, and he's trying to get young Magneto to tap into his power. He wants him to move this coin, and this scene sticks out vividly in my mind because he's trying to get him to move this coin, and he just can't do it. He can't find the strength to move the coin with his mind. And Magneto, of course, for those of you who don't know, his mutant ability is that he can fuck with all sorts of metal and like cause it to move, do anything he wants it to do. He can just think about it and it does it. Kind of like telekinesis, right? But only with metal. And Kevin Bacon knows this. His name's Sebastian Shaw. I'm just gonna call him Kevin Bacon because it's easier. Kevin Bacon knows this, and he's like, I want you to move this coin. And they're speaking German, of course, so there's subtitles, but he's like trying to get him to do it. He can't do it. He's like, all right, I hate to have to do this, young Eric, because that's Magneto's real name. And he brings in Magneto's mom, and they hug, they're reunited, and he's like, if you don't move this coin, then I'm gonna have to be brought to drastic measures. Oh, apparently it was Auschwitz. Side note, it was literally Auschwitz. Wild. So he's trying to get him to move this coin and brings in his mom, and he pulls out a gun. Originally aims it at Eric, but then he aims it at the mom. He's like, I'm gonna count to 3. If you don't move this coin, I'm gonna shoot her. And he counts down. He's trying his best. He's giving it his all to try to move this coin. Unfortunately, he's not able to do it. He fires the gun. His mom dies in front of him, and then he gets pissed. And we see Magneto tap into his power. He moves the coin. And then he also crushes the helmets of the guards that were bringing in his mom. And then he fucking just goes crazy. And all the metal in the room starts fucking shaking and shit. And like, Kevin Bacon's fueling him like, yes, we're gonna do great things, bro. We got this shit now. Yes, you're gonna be the greatest fucking weapon. And of course, he manipulates him and causes him to do all this stuff. While this is going on this part of the world, in Germany, all the way, I think that's where, I don't remember where Auschwitz specifically is. Don't take it the wrong way. I just don't remember off the top of my head. I think it's Germany. Anyways, over on the other side of the world, and I believe Europe or America, I don't remember. Over where Professor X lives, in I think a mansion, is going down to the kitchen because he thinks a burglar has broken into his mansion. So he's down there and he notices his mom, or who he thinks is his mom, and he's like, "What are you doing down here? I thought it was a burglar." And then she's like trying to give off some story, but then of course, it being, young Professor Xavier, he knows it's not his mom, and then calls her out immediately on her bullshit, like, "Yeah, you're not my mom. Who the fuck are you?" And immediately it gets revealed that it's Mystique, and she's a shapeshifter, which I didn't know. Very cool, very cool. And these two become friends and end up, basically growing a friendship to where they're like almost brother and sister, right? And time passes. We get an older Magneto and an older Professor X. They're both like in their 30s now, I want to say. And right off the bat, Professor X is trying to become a professor, actually, because he's got a thesis on mutants and mutant genes, right? And he uses this to pick up chicks. Dude, Professor X was a player back in the day, dog. He's partying. He's fucking doing some wild shit. Meanwhile, fucking Magneto is having the fucking inner turmoil of a fucking emo kid, and is literally wanting payback and wanting to kill Kevin Bacon so goddamn bad. He kept the coin that he fucking was told to pick up and keeps on to this coin because he wants to fucking kill Kevin Bacon with it. Honestly, fucking valid. Honestly valid. Like, honestly, I can't even front him. Like, they really make you feel for Magneto in this movie, and it fucking works. Like, I was so adamant on not wanting to see him turn to be a villain, but like, honestly, it's those kind of villains that I don't want them to become villains that makes them awesome fucking villains, right? It's gonna be the same way when I see Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom. As much as I don't want to see him as Doctor Doom, I do, because I know how fucking much potential he has to be such a badass, and that is such a fucking threat that, like, not even fucking the aura of Magneto can fucking tip the scales of. You know how badass that shit's gonna be, dog? Like that, we haven't even begun to start talking about how much they're gonna cook with that. Just saying, bro. Anyways, reel it back in. Let me get some time to reel it back in, okay? So, Magneto is currently off trying to find Kevin Bacon, right? And while he's off doing this, he's made it to Argentina, and he's drinking beer, I think, in a bar, and he's sitting there, and some people are like, "Hey, you like German beer?" And he's like, yeah, it's pretty good, it's the best. And I had it back when I was whatever. And he's like, who are you guys? And he's like, I'm a pig farmer, I'm a tailor, been all my life. And they're like, what's your name? And they're talking, and he's like, "What's your last name?" And he's like, "Well, I don't have a last name because it was taken by the people who took me." And then this is when these Germans realized that this guy was a Jew, and the tension in the room suddenly shifts to where, like, he's fucking scary and ominous. And he's like, "Yeah, I was never given a last name because of people like you who took my life away from me, and they killed my parents." And he's like, just eerily fucking just nonchalant about it. But the other guys are about ready to attack him, and fucking, oh my god, this scene was goated. He literally just fucks all of these guys up instantly. Like, it's not even a fucking fighting chance, bro. Like, he just has so much aura in this scene. And then obviously goes back to drinking and walks out of the room because he quotes himself as being Frankenstein's monster and trying to find his creator. Now we then cut to Las Vegas, I believe, and we meet Rose Byrne's character, Moira, who is a CIA operative who is infiltrating this club to try to learn some spy shit about the CIA. Not about the CIA. It's a colonel or something from the military who is, she's tracking him to spy on him, essentially, is what she's doing. She's there to spy on this specific person from the military, the U.S. military. And she gets there, and she notices some weird shit's going on, and she discovers that a mutant, and a bunch of mutants actually, led by an unknown male, has gotten information and found a way to try to initiate World War III. That's what this guy is trying to do. That's what Kevin Bacon is trying to do. Essentially, he's trying to start World War III by getting Russia and America to bomb each other, which is fucking wild, right? And, he's trying to set this up. We get revealed Emma Frost, who is a telepath. We get shown Emma Frost, who is a telepath like Professor X. However, she has the ability to morph her form to be like Diamond, right? And this causes any other telepaths to not be able to read her thoughts, which is wild. And there's also the introduction of Azazel, and what's the other guy's name? I'm assuming it's Riptide. I'm assuming his name's Riptide, because he doesn't really do much. So apparently he's Riptide, and so these are the mutants that Sebastian Shaw, Kevin Bacon, has at his disposal, and they're going to get this general to put missiles in Turkey to get the Russians alerted to try to start World War III. And they're going to have the Russians then try to shoot missiles at Cuba, I believe, and that's going to be close to America, which will then get... They basically want to start a nuclear war so that the humans can kill themselves and the mutants can live on and take over after they've pretty much bombed the fuck out of each other, so they can rise from the ashes and rebuild humanity and enslave all the humans and basically be the master rulers. It's essentially what he wants to do. And if this sounds familiar, it should, because this is also what Magneto wants to do later on, and we'll get there. Trust me, we'll get there. And so that's essentially what he wants to do. Moira finds this out, but she can't get anybody to believe her because these people have abilities that they can't comprehend, right? This is like the first time we're really starting to see mutants in this world, right? It's the first time that not a lot of them are really revealing themselves, and they're hiding in plain sight. And so this happens, and she tries to get help so that people will believe her. So she finds a professor. Professor X is now deemed the professor by a college, and he's celebrating and all this stuff, and she finds him, and she recruits him for the CIA, and he has a presentation ready for the CIA because he reads her thoughts and realizes she's telling the truth. He sees all these different mutants, and he's fascinated because he wants to know about more mutants like him, and he wants to recruit them, he wants to help them, he wants to help them discover their abilities. That's just the kind of guy Professor X is. And he does this, and he agrees to help out Moira. Moira then lets him do the presentation. He brings along Mystique, and she's called Raven, but it's Mystique. So she then sits through this presentation, and they think that this guy's bullshitting about mutants and stuff, and they don't believe him, and they say that he's doing magic tricks. And then he's like, well, if this was magic tricks, I should be reading your mind, right? And you've been thinking about like what they're going to be having for lunch later on. Also, you've been thinking about your son, which is very sweet, but not really appropriate for this discussion. And they think that he's just pulling fucking tricks and shit, until finally Mystique changes into her normal form. Actually, she changes into one of the guys at the table, and this gets them to shut the fuck up. She changes into one of the guys at the table, and this gets them to shut the fuck up and listen to what they have to say. And now that he has their attention, he's trying to explain that they could be of help, and that there's other mutants around, and that they need to take this seriously. And they're like, well, we don't even know what to do with all you guys. And the guy in the back's like, hey, I like magic tricks. Why don't you come be at my facility, and we'll help you out. We'll try to do like a secret organization of mutants, and we'll fight fire with fire. We'll fight mutants with mutants. And this is essentially what they're trying to build up. However, they need to try to get Shaw as fast as possible, because we know where he's at, and we have the potential to lose him. So they go try to get on a ship to be able to catch Shaw, who was also on a ship, and they were alerted of this because during this presentation, Shaw is with the military commander that he had gotten to go to the Pentagon and say all this shit. They like teleported him in via Azazel, who can teleport, which is cool. He also looks like a devil, which is interesting. But yeah, this happens, and we find out that Kevin Bacon is also a mutant because the general's like, listen, I did what you asked me to. Now I want my money and I want to get the fuck out of here, or otherwise I'm going to blow all of us up with a grenade. And Kevin Bacon straight up looks him in the eyes and goes, fucking do it. Fucking do it. He walks up to it because he's like, if you don't fucking do it, I'm going to do it myself. And then he takes the grenade, pulls the pin, and fucking has it explode in his hand, and he contains the energy. Because he absorbs energy and then uses it to fuel himself. Kind of like Hulk. The dad from Hulk, except way fucking cooler and on a more massive scale. Whereas he doesn't absorb it and become that, he uses it and harnesses it to power himself, basically. Kind of like a weird explosive reactor. This motherfucker is badass. And really makes him a fucking huge level threat. And that's really when it started to sink in for me that, like, holy shit, I've been missing out on, like, peak, like, next level fucking superhero shit with the X-Men. Because, damn, their powers get fucking insane. And, wow. And, by the way, this is all happening during the Cold War, so it's, like, 60s, 70s era. Like, very early, like, Marvel. And you could really get the vibe from that. And I really like the aesthetic of this movie. And, anyways, yeah, so they were alerted when he used his power, because they got a massive explosion coming off. And then, of course, he uses this explosion to kill the general, I believe, if I remember correctly. And then this alerts them, which is why they know where he's at. And then at night, they're there. And while they're trying to figure out how to best approach the mutants that are on board, Magneto doesn't give a fuck. He is there to try to fucking kill this motherfucker. And he is on a mission. And he does not deviate from that mission at all. And he is fucking just on a fucking warpath trying to get there. And he is swimming through the water and he's trying to get to this ship. And he gets to the ship and fuck. He gets on board and he's trying to attack it. And essentially he gets to him and he's about to kill him, but then the chick's like, hey, he's trying to kill you. And he's like, no, that's not great for introductions, is it? And of course, things go down. He ends up escaping. I think he gets knocked off the boat or some shit. And Kevin Bacon goes down into a submarine. Charles is trying to fucking scan and find out what all mutants are there. He senses Emma Frost, but she quickly puts a diamond around her so he can't sense her. And then, of course, he can sense Azazel, who is there, and he can teleport, and also Riptide, who is causing, like, a storm of, like, water and air and stuff. And then, of course, he also senses Magneto, who at this point is so pissed off, he is taking the ship's anchor and fucking raising it in the air and just fucking smashing it in the ship. However, Kevin Bacon and Emma Frost and Azazel and then Riptide all get in this submarine and they fucking get the fuck out of there. I think Azazel actually teleports the fucking whole thing to where they go into the Antarctic and are far away from being able to be scanned. And Magneto is pissed because he tries to pick up the submarine before Azazel does this, and he's like trying his best to lift it out of the ocean, but he just can't quite find the strength to do it. But he's rather trying to do this so much that he's sinking into the water, trying to grasp onto the submarine. And as he does this, Charles notices that Magneto's doing this, and he immediately jumps into the water to try to save Magneto. And he manages to get Magneto to calm down. He's like, look, I know you're in pain. I know you want to get him, but you need to calm yourself so that you can actually live and be able to get this done, because you're not going to be able to do it if you die, right? And And so he pulls him and manages to bring him back up. And then Magneto realizes that he was in his head. He's like, I thought I was alone. And Charles is like, no, you're not alone, my friend. You're not alone. And, you know, it's very nice to see these two interact, knowing that they, knowing what we know as comic fans. And, you know, even I still know that these fuckers are like enemies, right? But I didn't know how close their relationship actually was. And it's like some like Obi-Wan, like Anakin type shit, you know? Goated, needless to say. Anyways, so they bring him back, and you know, they're talking about what they're gonna do and how they're gonna do this. And Charles is still adamant that they need to recruit more mutants like him. And you know, Magneto's a little bit on the wayside about it. Raven's also there, and then they meet at this facility. They meet Hank, who is played by Nicholas Hoult, who is Beast. And when they get there, they are, you know, getting introduced to the facility, and the guy that's doing this, you know, he's showing them around the place, introduces them to Hank, and Charles is like, oh, cool, I didn't know you already had a mutant. He's like, what? And he's like, oh, you didn't know because he didn't tell you. And Hank's like, yeah, I'm kind of a freak, and you didn't ask, so I never even brought it up. So they're like, what can you do? And he reveals that he has got big feet, and he's got specifically like hands for feet. And he's able to hang upside down with them. You know, for people who know who Beast is, you know this motherfucker is Beast. And I had no clue who he was going to play until this point. I'm like, that's so fucking cool. Originally, I thought he was Nightcrawler, but it's Beast, bro. And honestly, I fucking love it. I love it. I love him as Beast. I love the idea of him as Beast. And it works for me. Heavy. Sorry. But yeah, it works for me heavy. Anyways, you know, they get adjusted. Raven immediately takes a liking to Beast. And, you know, Mystique. I'm just going to call her Mystique. Mystique takes a liking to Beast, like a heavy, bro. Because she feels like an outcast. And she even at one point in the movie had asked Charles if he liked her in that way. And he's like, look, as much as you are pretty, I can't like you like that because you're like a sister to me. And she doesn't understand it, but you know, they grew up together, and it would be kind of weird for him to be like that. And so yeah, but she instantly takes a liking to Beast, and you know, they become close, and he's like, you know, like her, like he wants to look normal and feel normal because he feels like a fucking freak. And she also feels like a freak because her body is blue and like weird looking. And you know, they, you know, immediately hook off well. And he's like, maybe I can get a cure for us going. And you know, they hang out and stuff. And then Magneto had come by and goes kinky because they were about to kiss, and just walks off, dude, like fucking insane, goated. And I think he made a comment about like how you should like want to like embrace who you are and embrace being a mutant as well. But like it was just fucking hilarious. It was perfect comedic timing, honestly. And Magneto is thinking about taking everything they have on Sebastian Shaw and leaving, and he actually takes a file and leaves. And Charles is like, hey, I know what you're about to do, and look, I'm not going to stop you, but I just, you know, we could use your help. And you know, if you really want, you know, revenge and justice, the way to do it is by helping us. And you know, I'm not going to stop you. You're free to leave, but just, you know, take that to mind. And he's got friends out there. It would be nice for you to have some too. And Magneto actually thinks about this. And then the next day we see that he had a change of heart and is wanting to join, but only if Charles is there to help. And Charles isn't going to do it unless, you know, they don't use the thing, or like all the mutants go through Charles and him. And they do it as a team because they're not going to send the CIA to go out to it. They're going to have Charles and Magneto personally find all these mutants themselves. Otherwise, they walk and they're not going to do it. So they agree, and then they use this machine to go out and find all the mutants. We get a bunch of cameos to all the different mutants. I believe Scott, who was Cyclops, is in there. Of course, we get a young Storm. We get a few others that I don't know off the top of my mind because I'm not familiar with the mutant verse of things. But they go out and they try to find some recruits. So they find Angel was one of the first ones at a strip club. She's a stripper. However, instead of her, she has this moment where they're like, we'll show you ours if you show us yours. We'll show you ours and then you show us yours. And then they're making it very heavily innuendo here. It's fucking hilarious how they play this off. But then they're like revealing their powers. And then she like goes to like take off her what looks like her shirt, but it's actually just the back so that her wings can pop out because she has wings. And she starts flying. And then it's fucking insane how they lean into that in this movie. Goated. And then we cut to them finding Havoc, Banshee. They're showing off all their different powers. That's really cool. Of course, you got more instances with Hank and Mystique, of course. And then, of course, we get a cameo by none other than Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, where they're like, hey, we know you have some credible abilities. He's like, fuck off. And just goes back to drinking. And then he ponders it and then continues to ask for another beer. Goated cameo, by the way. Absolutely fucking fire. Goated, bro. And so they get all these recruits, and there's another guy in there where he adapts to stuff, and then and we cut to this facility. The mutants are all getting to know each other, right? This is the 2B X-Men team, right? And they're getting to know each other. They're starting to talk about their powers and all that, becoming friends, getting used to each other. They took on Hank a little bit because he's a freak, but then they all start having fun and being nice and stuff, and then, that's all that. And then Moira, Professor X, and Magneto head out to go on a mission in Russia because they believe that Sebastian, aka Kevin Bacon, is going to be there, trying to meet with one of the Russian leaders to get them to launch nukes at Cuba. They don't know that specific part of the plan, but that's what he's essentially supposed to be there for. They get to this base in Russia, and they go through a different wave of soldiers, and they get stopped at this checkpoint, which isn't listed on the map because they're being a little bit more cautious. And Professor X has the ability to like make people think they're not seeing specific things. And what I mean by that, he makes everybody appear to be invisible, even though they're right in front of him, which is really cool to see that. But anyways, they make it to this front part of the base. Magneto, Moira, and Professor X are sitting there watching, waiting to see if Sebastian Shaw shows up. He does not, however. They do see Emma Frost, who works hand in hand with Sebastian. So they use Professor X to view what one of the guards is viewing. They're trying to see if he'll show up. Kevin Bacon isn't going to show up today. However, she's there, and Magneto is like, fuck yeah, we get to her. We get to find out where the fuck he is. So he goes in on a fucking spree. Just nobody can stop this motherfucker from doing what he sets his mind out to do. And he uses the barbed wire and uses it to coil up the guards and like fucking grapple them with it. Fucking insane. But yeah, he makes it inside, and of course, Charles doesn't want him to actually hurt anybody, so he rushes inside, and he actually helps one of the guards who was caught in the barbed wire. He's like, listen, I'm sorry, my friend. Just relax, sleep, and try not to focus on it. And then he rushes inside, and then the guy in there is like supposedly having sex with Emma Frost. However, he doesn't realize that he's not actually, and he's just imagining that he is. And she's like looking at him the entire time like, fucking pathetic that it's that easy to like manipulate him. And then they bust in, and the dude's still going at it, and they're kind of just watching him. But Emma Frost notices that they're there, and she gets up ready to go on the attack. But then Magneto gets the metal from the bed to wrap around her and lock her in place and keep her there. That way she doesn't go on the attack. Also, Charles calms the guy on the bed and gets him to sleep. And then, Magneto wraps her and restrains her with the metal from the bed and gets her held down to where she's basically in a chokehold with the metal, and he wraps it around her throat and tightens it, and is getting on the verge of like squeezing to like choke her to death. And Charles is like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. and he doesn't actually do it. He's just trying to get the diamond to break, and then it cracks, and then she goes back into her human form, and he's like, she's broken. So if she even tries to go diamond next time, one tap, and she's gonna shatter in a million pieces. So they basically negate her abilities, and then cause Charles to be able to read her mind because she can't go diamond, and that's what negates her. So he goes into her mind and then instantly tries to track her thoughts to be able to find out where Sebastian Shaw is. He then realizes he's in a submarine off in Antarctica, and that he's planning to blow up and start World War III, essentially. And then he's like, we gotta be able to stop this. And then so they take her to be able to be shipped into a black site to where she can be held, as a prisoner. And she's basically arrested. And they're going to try to get to Sebastian. Well, during the meantime, Sebastian, while they're gone, is not actually in Antarctica. He has made his way to the facility, and he wants to get his hands on the mutants there. So, he kills every fucking body he can see, trying to get to these mutants. And Azazel is out there killing the guards. The X-Men inside start to notice this. They're not called the X-Men. I'm going to call them the X-Men. The X-Men notice this, and they're like, what the fuck? And they're like, we got to get the fuck out of here. So they go try to run to get out, and the guards are getting killed, and they're basically being trapped. So yeah, they go to try to escape and try to get out of there, but then they get cornered by Azazel and Riptide. And then they're brought back into the same room they've been stuck in until Sebastian walks in. And of course, earlier on in the movie, he was given access to Magneto's helmet. However, turns out Magneto's helmet wasn't always Magneto's. And that's how Charles has been unable to pinpoint where the fuck Sebastian is. And so he's wearing this shit. He takes it off. He's like, finally, I don't have to use this anymore. For now, of course. And he's killed pretty much everybody in the facility, including the guy who helped get them on board with the CIA. And he's like, yeah, look, we're gonna start World War III. We're gonna rise up from the rubble and become their overlords. I want you guys to join me, and so let's do it. You guys got one opportunity. Make it now. And then he's like, who's with me? And the only one that actually step apart from the group to join is Angel. And they're all like, are you fucking for real, bro? Like, are you serious after everything? After all the good we've been doing? And like, she's like, nah, man, I still feel like an outcast here. And honestly, fuck it. Which is why I don't really like her character. I mean, it's good that I don't like her character, right? Because of this, it's a good little twist. And of course, seeing Angel do this, the one guy who can adapt to stuff, I still forget his name. It sucks that I forget his name. Because they all come up with cool names for each other, like Havoc, Riptide, Havoc, Banshee. They even give Professor X his Professor X name, and they give Magneto his name Magneto, which Magneto actually likes. He's like, I prefer that. I like that. And of course they haven't given Hank one yet, other than Bigfoot. But that's just because he hasn't become who we know him as yet. And anyways, yeah. So they're giving each other names, and I forget his fucking name, bro. I almost want to go rewind to find out what his name is. But yeah. So they get him. He decides to step in and join, but it's really just a plan so that Havoc can be able to use his powers. And they showed off all their powers to each other, and they all know what they can do. And they're going to use Havoc to try to kill Sebastian and be able to let Angel go free. He's going to use his ability to adapt to withstand Havoc's blast and be able to protect Angel. This doesn't go as planned because the energy from Havoc, Sebastian holds on to. He's like, very noble of you. Very noble of you. However, such a futile effort was going to waste. And he takes the energy from Havoc, puts it in the mouth of the dude, and goes, adapt to this. And fucking ends up getting turned to fucking dust from Havoc's energy because he's unable to withstand all that energy coming from inside him. And they all watch him die. Angel still goes with him even after watching this dude die. And it's pretty much the reason why he's dead. Doesn't care, keeps going. What a bitch. And she plays it well. Yeah, so off they fuck. Azazel teleports them out of the base. And yeah, they're left defeated and broken. And Charles and Magneto finally return with Moira, and they have come to realize that, oh shit, Sebastian was here, fucked everyone up. Magneto wants to go on the warpath, but he's like, listen, you all need to go home. Like, it's done. I put you guys in so much danger. I don't want to put you guys in any more danger. And they're like, fuck no. We started this. We're gonna keep going. And Magneto's like, yeah, we need to avenge our boy. They're no longer kids now. They're soldiers. And they know what they're supposed to do. Like, we need to actually continue this because this is our one chance we got. And Charles is like, okay, but we need to train, all of us. And they're like, well, we can't stay here. And he's like, I know a place. And he brings them back to his home. And yeah, he starts training them. And they have an epic montage of them all using their powers and getting better. Hank is working on a serum to fix him and Mystique. However, Mystique is going back and forth between Charles and what's his name? Magneto. And Magneto's like, look, it's pathetic. You're using all of your concentration to try to hide yourself from who you really are, when in reality you could just be yourself and be at full power and be able to do your thing when the need arises, because you're not limiting yourself and you're accepting who you really are. Like, that's the whole point, is to accept who you really are, and you're not accepting who you are. So, like, what's the fucking point? And then walks off, and he spits some fucking bars in this movie, dude. Like, he's fucking goated. And then they have a heart-to-heart with him, with Hank and her, and he finally gets the cure done, and she's like, no, I don't want to look like this anymore. And she really thinks that, Hank's in love with her, and he's like, I do like you. I just like this version of you. I don't like your blue form, because, it's not normal, and he wants to be normal. She doesn't want to be normal. She wants to just fit in and accept who she is and have everybody accept her for who she is. And she's disappointed when he doesn't feel the same way, and he takes the cure, she doesn't, and of course this is how he turns into Beast. It takes the animal part of him and fucking ramps it up to a good amount, and we'll get there once he finally turns. But Magneto is talking about his abilities. Like, look, you know how this is going to end. Are you going to be okay with me killing Sebastian? He's like, we got to be the better man. He's like, no. Like, I will kill this motherfucker. You have to be okay with me killing him. Okay? Like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. And basically, Charles is like, we'll get there when we get there. But essentially, he doesn't want him to kill. And he wants to fit into society still and live in peace. Magneto kind of just wants to not be enslaved again, and they're both kind of right, but at the same time, like, man, which one's the lesser evil, right? I mean, Charles actually isn't evil at all with his logic. I mean, it just, he just wants to live peacefully, right? Which at the end of the day, who doesn't? Magneto, that's for sure. Towards the end of the movie. Anyway, spoilers. Sorry. This movie's been out for a little bit, so that's whatever. Anyways. Yeah, so they get finished preparing, and then they're trying to figure out where Hank went, right? They're like, where the fuck did he go? And they're like, listen, I've got everything under control. Just meet me at the hangar and bring the crate. The crate has suits, and they have their blue and yellow suits, which is goated. They're technically flight suits and they're not official suits, but I would have loved this to be official suits. 100%. Anyways, yeah, so they're wearing the suits and stuff, and they're getting ready to go on the offensive and try to take down Sebastian. So they are going in. U.S. and Russia are already in their fleets. They're about to wait to see if Russia crosses over the threshold of the border, and once they do that, it's World War III. It's all go. And there's a lone vessel, and neither U.S. or Russia, mind you, want to start World War III, because this is damn near immediately after World War II, and like they just went through a war. They don't want to go through another one, but they're about to start World War III under the hands of some asshole. And so Sebastian had taken control of the ship via Azazel and all of this stuff, and it's not responding to any of the Russia's commands because they're wanting to not fucking start World War III. So they're trying to stop it as best as they can. They don't have any control over that ship. That ship's about to cross over the threshold. U.S. is about to fucking launch missiles. As soon as they do, though, Charles goes into the mind of one of the people on the Russian command vessel and fucking causes it to fire a missile at their own ship, which explodes, and this causes a standstill between Russia and America long enough so that our boys, the X-Men, can get in there and do some damage. Also, Beast has revealed himself to be Beast, and Mystique's like, fuck yes, this is who you really are, accept it. And he's like, fine, I don't want to be bullied anymore, fuck all y'all, I am fucking my own guy now. And Havoc's like, hey man, it's fucking cool, and I got a new name for you, Beast. Fuck yeah, because I used to call him Bozo. And also, Magneto was trying to say something, but then he fucking just chokes the shit out of Magneto. He's like, I don't want to be fucking, fucked with anymore. And Magneto's like, I'm not trying to fucking diss you, bro. I was complimenting you, bro. He was like, I'm not trying to diss you, bro. I'm trying to compliment you. And, that was funny. I forgot to mention that. But, so they start going and fighting, and they eventually have to fight Azazel and Riptide, and it gets to the point where they're fighting and stuff, and Angel also gets onto the battlefield, and Sebastian goes into the reactor room, because he just has that on the submarine, and he goes into the reactor room to try to fucking power up and be mass power so he can just explode and start the war because of the explosion. And he is sitting in there trying to get powered up while they're all fighting. Meanwhile, Charles and Magneto are trying to do their best to take control of the submarine, and Magneto lifts the submarine out of the water and lands it on the beach. This allows Magneto to get in close, and they need to try to get Charles in there so he can access Sebastian's mind. But he can't read him because of the Magneto helmet, which is what I'm going to call it. And continue to call it until Magneto gets it. Then Magneto opens the side of the submarine. He goes inside while Riptide and Havoc and Banshee are fighting, and Angel are fighting as well. And Beast... Oh wait, it starts out as Beast and Azazel and Havoc, and then Azazel and Beast leave Havoc stranded on the abandoned, on the American ship. And then Angel comes in and flies overhead. Banshee comes in and helps Havoc. And Angel knocks the thing off of Havoc's chest. So he's going to have to try to control it on his own. Eventually, Havoc knocks off, with the help of Banshee, knocks off Angel's wings and gets her grounded. And then Beast knocks the fuck out of Azazel with the help of Mystique, because she pretends to be... she shifts into looking like Sebastian, Kevin Bacon, and gets him confused, and then Beast knocks him the fuck out. While they're doing this, Magneto makes it into the submarine, and he's looking for Kevin Bacon, and Charles is like, look, he's there somewhere, and he's like, I don't fucking see him. And then Kevin Bacon, in a twist of manipulation, opens the secret room. He's like, I've been waiting for you, Eric. Calls him by his name, and he's like, listen, I'm sorry about your mom. And manipulates the fuck out of him, and Magneto's trying to use the metal to fuck with him, but because he's been sitting in the energy, he uses this, and it's more powerful than Magneto. He's like, listen, I know you're on this path and you want to kill me, but I'm just trying to help you. And Magneto goes, listen, I know you're right, I know, but they're talking back and forth, and Charles is, not able to get a read on him. He can't even tell where Eric's at. But eventually, because of these two like clashing and feuding with each other. The glass in this room, the diamonds in this room breaks, and it's allowing Charles to get more and more of a read on everything in the room. And once this has happened, Magneto pulls a fast one on Kevin Bacon and pulls the Magneto helmet off. And then Magneto apologizes to Charles for what he's about to do. He's like, listen, Charles, I'm sorry. And once the Magneto helmet is off, Charles has frozen with his abilities Sebastian in place, but he's only able to do it for so long, and this is when he puts the helmet on. Magneto does, and is like, I'm sorry, Charles. And Charles is screaming because he knows he's about to kill him. He's like, I'm sorry, but I have to do it. And as much as I agree with you, Sebastian, unfortunately, you fucking killed my mother. And he takes that same coin, and while Charles is in Sebastian's mind, Magneto is like, you know what I'm gonna do. He takes the coin, moves it closer. He takes the coin and then he moves it closer to Sebastian, and he goes, 1, 2, 3. And he slowly pushes this coin through Sebastian's head, and Charles feels this. And it's a great cinematography when you have Sebastian there frozen in place, unable to respond, but Charles is screaming as if he was the one having the thing put through his mind. Really done, really well done visually, very well done, and pushes the coin all the way through his head and kills him, and takes the Magneto helmet. And then once the threat is down, the U.S. and Russia ships are like, hell yeah, we did it. And then the Pentagon's like, you know what? This is the best time. Now that he's down and the real threat is down, why don't we take them all out with one go? And this is something that Magneto would worried about with Charles, and was like, look, after this is done, they're gonna come after us. They're gonna fucking try to get rid of us. And Charles is like, no, we have to hope. And Magneto's like, fuck no. But of course, Magneto ended up being, unfortunately, right, where he comes out with Sebastian, and he's like, listen, my mutant brethren, this is what's going to happen. Now that he's dead, we're going to be attacked, and we're going to have to defend ourselves, because we're the better species. And as he does, he's like, look out and read their minds, Charles. Tell me I'm wrong. Literally, as soon as he gets the helmet, he gets like fucking 1,000 aura all of a sudden, which is goated. But yeah, literally, Charles does this. He's like, holy shit, he's right. They're gonna fire on us. And Moira runs and tries to get in contact. She can't get in contact. Both Russia and America try to bomb the beach with missiles, and they send missiles their way towards the beach. Everybody's watching, even the villains that were fighting. Now that Shaw's dead, they kind of like stopped because, the X-Men beat them. However, Magneto turns and looks out at the missiles coming towards them. He stops them and turns them around and launches them back at both America and Russia. Everybody in those ships think they're about to die, and with due fucking reason, because they just they made the biggest mistake, honestly. Like, I don't know why they would even think they would have any close chance to win that, but it's not even fucking close, dog. Like, Charles tries to stop Magneto, and he tries to get the helmet off of him. They're fighting each other, right? And, of course, Moira gets involved, and, a lot of the missiles so far, Charles has managed to stop, but all of them are still going. And Moira fires a gun at Magneto. She shoots a lot of them, and then one of the bullets strays off because Magneto fucking forces it away from him because it was going to hit him, and it actually ends up going into Charles' spine, and Magneto immediately drops everything because he's gotten real close over the past 2 hours in the movie, but it's been a longer for them, but like over the course of the movie he's become really close friends, almost brothers, with Charles, and he gets super pissed that the bullet entered, and he pulls the bullet out of Charles's spine, and he choking Moira with like her dog tag, and he's like, you did this to him, and Charles is like, no, Eric, you did this to me. And he stops everything, and he gets up and allows Moira to go to him, and he's like, look, humans are our enemy, you're either with me or you're against me type shit, and who's with me? And of course, Azazel, Riptide, Angel, and Mystique. Initially, she goes off to Charles, and he's like, go with him. And she's like, you're not supposed to read my mind. He's like, yeah, I promised you a lot of things. And she goes off with him. Beast looks out at Mystique, who honestly, at that point, I would have been like, man, you dodged a bullet, Beast. Because also there was this weird scene with Mystique and Magneto earlier in the film, which they were kind of setting up for this moment, I guess. But like, that shit was just so funny. I understand where that meme comes from now, where it's like, I want to see Mystique, the real Mystique, perfection. Goated, such a goated meme format. But yeah, and then we get the one of the greatest fucking reveals. I mean, it's not even that really a big reveal. It's just nice to see how it happens. But yeah, he was shot in the spine, meaning he's now paralyzed from the waist down, and he's now gonna have to be in a wheelchair. This is a big moment, and yeah, pretty much that's the end of the movie. He ends up getting into a wheelchair. All the X-Men go in, and they're gonna start recruiting more mutants, and he's gonna train them and actually be a professor. They make a joke on that. He's like, now the only thing that's gonna start happening is I'm gonna go bald, and yeah, so this happens, but unfortunately he has to erase Moira's mind, and he does, so that they can be protected from the government, who probably would want to control them. So she reveals that, like, unfortunately, I don't remember where things are. And there's a comment made about how, like, women shouldn't be in the CIA because she kissed him. And it was just so fucking out of pocket. Deserved that some explosion happens, and it's Magneto trying to break Emma Frost out of prison that they're holding her in. And is like getting her to join. It's like, listen, I know we've had our differences, but I would like you to join me. And he's like, I no longer work with my other friend and all that shit, but yeah, join me. And she's like, okay. Eric, is it? He's like, no. I prefer Magneto. And he's like, no. It's no longer Eric. I prefer Magneto. And that's how the movie ends. I don't know if there is a... actually, I should look real quick to see if there's a post-credit scene. I didn't even think to look. No, it doesn't look like there is. Yeah, no post-credit scene, so we're good. But yeah, this was the X-Men First Class, and honestly, I liked it. It was very good introduction to the X-Men, and yeah, if I had to rate this movie, I'd honestly rate it a solid 9 out of 10. Very good introduction. Loved the characters, loved the cast, loved it so much that I'm rating it that high. Hopefully they all are this way, but this is my initial reaction. It's a very long video. I'll probably trim this down a lot, actually. I don't want this to ever be over an hour, but we'll see how this goes post-editing. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments, what you guys thought about the movie, who you like as a character, who you're excited for me to see coming forward, who you're excited for me to see going forward, and yeah. And yeah, I'm heavily invested. I'm super excited to go on to the next one. That being said, hopefully you guys are excited too. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date when I do release that video. And yeah, we're we're keeping the Marvel train going, baby. And this shit's good and goated. I'll see you guys in the next one. Deuces, everybody. Bye-bye.